welcome to another Genshin Impact video. Today we are gonna take a look at Varka, our newest 5-star character. He's finally here, the Grandmaster of the Knights of Favonius. And yeah, he is dual-wielding claymores, which is just so cool, and I can't wait to see how strong he actually is. So yeah, let's take a look at my Varka build. He's level 90, has 2500 attack and 80 crit rate with 222 crit damage. And actually in battle this crit rate is gonna be 100 because I'm using the Hexarai artifact set on him that gives him 20 more crit rate if he's used with another Hexarai character, which you want to do always anyway with Varka. And the crit damage is also gonna be 30% higher in battle than it shows here because I have his signature weapon, and this one gives him a bunch of attack and crit damage, up to 30% crit damage down here. So yeah, 252 crit damage, 100 crit rate, that's pretty good. Can't wait to see how much damage he's actually gonna do. And like I already mentioned, I'm using the Hexarai set on him, a day carved from Rising Winds. And this is what the artifacts are looking like. I mainly aimed for crit rate and crit damage and a bit of attack, with an attack sense, an attack goblet, and a crit damage circlet. You don't want an Anemo damage goblet because he does different elemental damage than just Anemo. He can do pyro, cryo, hydro, and electro as well. That's why attack is better, because it buffs all his elements and not just Anemo. Same as with Chaska, you know, she also deals different types of damage, not just Anemo, which is why I use an attack goblet on her. Same thing for Varka. These two are very similar in that regard. But yeah, then his constellation is 0, and his talents are at level 6, 9, and 9. His special normal attack scale of the skill, as you can see here, the Sturm und Drang hits. So his normal attacks don't actually really matter because those are just the physical hits he does outside of his special normal attack state. So you can leave them at level 6 or even level 1. I just like to have all my talents at least level 6. It's just feels wrong with leaving talents at level 1. So yeah, that's my Varka build. So let's actually talk about which teams we can use him in. And one thing that's very important here is this passive, because that gives him some restrictions for the team. Because here it says that if you have at least 2 Anemo characters or at least 2 of these elements, then his special infused normal attacks will get buffed. They will deal 140% of the original damage, which is a significant buff. So you definitely want to fulfill this condition. But then there's a second part to this passive, and that says basically the same thing, but instead of or, it says and. So you want 2 Anemo characters and 2 pyro, or 2 hydro, or electro, or cryo, because then he gets buffed even more. So yeah, that basically means we have to play him with 1 other Anemo character and then 2 of the same element, and it has to be a swirlable element. And I think what Hoyobus wants you to do is use him with Durin and Bennett, but as you can see, my Bennett is not leveled on this account because this is my main account where I refuse to use Bennett. I only use him on my ult, and I don't have Durin anyway, so I can't build that Bennett-Durin team that is kinda intended for him. I'm pretty sure Durin is actually made for Varka. But there are some other options that I have, and one thing that I really want to do is play Varka and Jean together. You know, the Grandmaster and the acting Grandmaster. I think that's gonna be really fun. And there is one way for me to build a team around these two, and that is by using Furina and Mona. Because Furina, of course, is one of the best supports in the game still, and she works really well with Jean. Jean can instantly max out Furina's fanfare stacks with her burst to get a huge damage bonus. And basically these two were my go-to wheelchair for a lot of my teams before Inefa and Colombina were a thing. They are just incredible together. So these alone would already buff Varka very well. And then we have Mona here as a second Hydro and also as a second Hexarai character to fulfill all the conditions and to also give an additional damage buff and an attack buff as well, since my Mona is holding Noblesse. So this is the team I'm going to try out first. It should work pretty well in theory. So let's see what Varka can actually do here. Oh, I love this skill. It's so fun just holding it and then jumping a huge distance. Already one of my favorite skills. And here we are at Masanori, my usual test subject. Always try out new characters on him first. Let's just go straight in and see what Varka can do. And as always in these showcases, I'm first gonna use the new character on his own without the rest of the team. So yeah, let's just see how much damage is he gonna do solo. Okay, 90k, 50k, 21k there. The Hydro damage is definitely doing more than the Anemo. 22, 24k, 23k, 25k there. Yeah, it's actually pretty decent damage. But now Masanori is locked in animations, so he's not activating his second HP bar. That happens sometimes. There we go. Let's do this again. And this time also use his special skill. Like so. Oh, 48k damage there. Wow, okay, unbuffed, almost 50k. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. A lot of people were saying before he came out that he is underwhelming, he's not that great, but yeah, well, if a character can do 50k damage unbuffed, that doesn't qualify as underwhelming to me. I don't know. But people have just way too high standards nowadays. If a character doesn't come close to Mavuika, they're automatically trash in the eyes of most players. Which, you know, I hate that mentality of if it's not the best, it's trash. It doesn't work like that. And I can already tell that Varka's gonna be pretty strong. Even if he's not, like, top tier, the best of the best DPS ever. He doesn't have to be. Anyway, now that we saw what he can do on his own, it's time to use the rest of the team. Let's go. So, first I'm gonna summon Furina's pets and, well, I guess use the burst right away. Heal up with Jean. Use Mona Burst. And Varka. Stop blocking Masanori. 75k there. One of the normal attacks. The skill does... He's already dead. I didn't even see how much damage the skill did. But he did like 75-80k with just the normal attacks. Which did like 20k before. And the skill did almost 50k before. So it probably does almost 200k now with all the buffs. That is actually really, really good. I really don't know what these people were smoking that were saying that Varka is bad. But honestly, I'm not surprised. Almost everyone gets Doomposted before they release. It's just what the Genshin community does. That's why I always test the characters out for myself before I form an opinion on how strong they are. Because what people say before they release is often just plain wrong. Anyway, Masanori is obviously not strong enough for this. So our second stop for this showcase, much as in most other showcases, is Kongamato, of course. With his 1.6 million HP, and after we've done some testing against him, we of course are also gonna visit the test dummy in Miliastra Wonderland. So, same as before, we just use Furina first, then Jean, Mona, and Varka. Yeah, we're doing over 60k, 70k there easily. The skill, I think 150k I saw there on the skill. Let's do this again, and already dead. Wow, yeah, easy one rotation kill. And once again, that is definitely far from being a bad character. If a DPS can kill Kongamato in one rotation, the tankiest boss in the overworld, they are a really good DPS. Seriously, what were people talking about? All these stupid Doomposters. I'm really so tired of that. I'm tired of all the Doomposting every time a new character comes out. And then I play them and it's like, they're fine. They're completely fine. They're just not Mavuika level. But, like, who is, you know? Except Mavuika herself. Okay. Enough ranting about the Doomposters. Let's just do some more testing here with Varka. Because there are some other teams that are definitely worth trying out. This is, I think, the best team that I can build with the characters I have. But, of course, we have some other options in terms of Hexarray characters. Like, for example, Sucrose, who would already fulfill the requirement of having one other Nemo character, and then we can just put two Electro, Cryo, whatever, Pyro characters, whoever we want in there. Like, if we want to keep Furina, we could then use Kokomi as our healer, and that should also work pretty well. So yeah, let's actually test it. Okay, here we go. Once again, start with Furina, heal up with Kokomi, and then we just use Sucrose and Varka. And yeah, once again we are getting pretty good damage, a little bit less than before. 116k there on the skill. 116 again, but it's still a one rotation kill. Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit less. It was like around 40 to 50k with the normal attacks and then 116k with the skill. But overall not that much slower. Still pretty good DPS here. So this is another team that definitely works. And we could also go for, I don't know, Cryo or Pyro here instead of Hydro to mix it up a bit. Actually, Chefrus might work here. But only because my Chefrus is C6. Because usually her buffs don't work on characters that aren't Pyro or Electro. But her C6, which gives a lot of Pyro and Electro damage bonus, does work on anyone who gets healed by her. So we could give Varka a bunch of Pyro damage bonus with C6 Chefrus. And then have another Pyro buffer. I don't know. Usually you would use Bennett, of course. But I'm just gonna use Amber here. My Amber is built as a support. She has Noblesse, she's C6, and she has Elegy for the end. So she can give 55% attack with her burst and also 100 elemental mastery. So yeah, let's just try this team now. It's probably gonna be the worst team so far, but maybe it can still kill Kongamato in one rotation. Okay, here we go. Let's just do this and this. Swirl with Sucrose and unleash Varka. Yeah, still 39k there, 50k, not bad. The skill 113k, it's actually not that far behind the previous team. In terms of raw damage, 112k there. Actually used the burst here, I haven't done that so far. Okay, 49k damage on the burst. It's not quite one rotation, but close. Just do this, and it's dead. There we go. Okay, like, yeah. 1.5 rotations. Still pretty good. We still got over 100k damage on the skill. So yeah, another usable team, even without Bennett and Amber instead as a Bennett replacement. You could definitely reach a lot higher damage here with Bennett, and actually Bennett would replace Jeffrus, I think, here. And then Durin instead of Amber. But yeah, what else can we do? I just want to experiment some more. Because despite all the restrictions, there's actually a lot we can do here. Like, yeah, Sucrose is of course really good, but there are even more Hexarai characters. Like, another really good one, where is she? Fischl. So, we go the Electro route here. Well, in that case, we do need another Nemo character. We could maybe go double Hexarai with Sucrose again. Or Lynette, who can buff attack with her burst. Faruzan would probably be good, but my Faruzan is not built here. So yeah, I don't know. Let's just go Lynette, why not? And then we need a sustain. We could use Shinobu, or maybe... don't have any other electro sustains in Nefer, but she can't really trigger Luna charged in this team. But, you know, just for the shield, might still be worth it. Let's just try it, why not? This team might look a bit weird, but it probably still works. Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay, yeah, the damage here is definitely a bit lower. The numbers are not quite as high. And the skill, I didn't see the number here. Okay, let's do this again. Yes, not reaching 100k, not even close. And Kongamato has a lot of HP left after the first rotation. So this is definitely the worst team so far, to no one's surprise. But it still works, you know, it still works, it's still decent damage, it's fun. So yeah, and here, again, in more than one rotation, but less than 2 rotations, we killed Kongamato. That still wasn't that slow. So even such a suboptimal team still works pretty well, and Varka just does so much damage. Now let's try one more team with Electro here, because if we don't use an Electro character as the sustain here, instead go Jean again for the sustain, then we free one slot up for some Electro sub DPS. We could use Raiden, or we could use Beidou, or maybe even Sarah to buff Varka's Electro damage. You know what? Let's try that. My C6 Sarah, how much can you buff Varka? Let's see. Okay, let's start with Fischl this time, so we can immediately swirl Electro here. And then we just use Sarah and do a lot of damage. Yeah, actually, no, we're seeing almost 50k electro damage there. The skill also doing pretty good damage. Not bad at all. Though Sarah's buff, of course, it doesn't last the entire duration of Varka's skill. Couldn't swirl there because Jean targeted the stupid fruit instead of Kongamato. I hate it when that happens. But even without Jean, we still got a 69k there, if I saw that correctly, on the skill. So yeah, even that team works. I really feel like I can just put anything with Varka, as long as I fulfill the conditions of his talent that buffs his special normal attack state. Almost everything works, you know, and of course another Hexarai character, but we do have some decent options, even free-to-play options. I mean, Sucrose is on his banner, so even if you're a new player, if you have Varka, you probably have Sucrose, unless you got really unlucky here. And Bennett, so yeah, options. Actually, the entire banner is just one functional team, you know? Just put all these characters together and it's gonna work. So overall, I really like Varka. I think his normal attacks are so cool with the dual wielding, and he really feels strong, you know? Not nearly as underwhelming as people were saying. Okay, so now that we've seen that he can kill Kongamato pretty fast, let's find out how much DPS that actually is. So let's go to the Milliaster Wonderland test dummy. And yeah, I'm mainly gonna try the Jean, Furina, Mona team on a test dummy here. Maybe I'm also gonna test some of the other teams, but this one was the strongest, so I mainly wanna see how much DPS this one does. Let's set the timer to 60 seconds. That's what I usually do. And yeah, here we go. Yeah, already at 60k there. 80k. Doing pretty good. 90k. You can definitely reach 100k with this team. Come on, Furina, get your burst. Energy recharge problems. That's not good. Jean also doesn't have a burst, damn it. And now the DPS is a lot lower because of that. But now Varka gets unleashed again, come on. 80k. Okay, 79k. Almost at 80k. We were almost at 100k at one point, but didn't get all our bursts back in time. So yeah, not the best run ever. I'm definitely gonna try this again. Also, it's a bit annoying that we get healed up every time the battle ends. And we have to test dummy, because with Furina you obviously don't want to have full HP at the beginning to get more out of the buff. Can we actually change some here or starting HP? I don't think we can. It's fine though. Let's just do this again. Okay, this time only 76. It's even worse than before. Let's just do it again right away. Oh, I don't have the cooldown for Furina skill. Whoops. Okay, here we go. Ah, 78. So close. Even though I did get my burst in time this time. Can we not get over 80k? I mean, 79 is already pretty good. Don't get me wrong. That is more than enough to clear most endgame content. But I feel like we can definitely reach 80. Let's try this again. Okay, there we go, 82. I knew it was possible. Okay, now let's take a look at the breakdown here. Of course, Varka is doing the most damage, to no one's surprise, 72%. So yeah, he's definitely a main DPS. And then Furina at 22%. And Jean and Mona aren't really doing any damage here. They are just here to support. Jean with the swirls and the healing. And Mona with her Omen buff and Noblesse. But yeah, overall this team works really, really well. I love it. It's so much fun. It's exactly what I expected out of Varka. A strong character who's also incredibly fun to play. Now, before I end the video, let's actually test like one or two more teams here at the test dummy. I want to test at least one Sucrose team and one Fischl team. Let's just go with the Kokomi variant, where we keep Furina, because I think that's my second strongest Varka team after the one with Jean and Mona. Let's see how much DPS we are doing with this. Yeah, over 50k already, 60k. Doing pretty well. Okay, 65. I think 70 is probably possible. So let's try this one more time. 64. Bit worse than before. What's the damage distribution like here? Varka's actually doing less here than before. From 72% down to 64%. Yeah, because Kokomi is doing a bit more than Jean did. Because of her artifact set, the Ocean Hued Clam, I guess. Furina also is doing a bit more on this team, percentage-wise. But yeah, third time's the charm. We can definitely get a bit closer to 70k here. Okay, there we go, 67k. Not quite 70, but, you know, close enough. And yeah, Varka still at 65, Rina 26, Kokumi 6, and Sucrose 3%. Pretty much the same as before. Yep, this team works as well, definitely. Feels pretty good. So let's try official team now. I think I'm gonna go with the one that had Jean, and I used Sarah, right? But probably Beidou or Lisa would be better, since Sarah's buffs don't last very long. They only last for like half the duration of Varka's skill. So I'm just gonna go with Beidou here and see how that works. Yeah, we're also reaching over 60k there, not bad. Set back up. Beidou doesn't have a burst, that's not good. So we're definitely losing some DPS here. I don't think we're gonna get quite to 60k, but close. 55k, okay, yeah, this is definitely the weakest team so far. But again, it still feels not that bad, you know? If my Beidou had higher energy recharge, so I got the burst in the second rotation, we definitely would have over 60k DPS here. So still not that far behind the others. And Varka here is actually now doing over 70% again, with Fischl being in second place, doing less than Furina did in the other teams. So Varka does a higher percentage, yeah, checks out. And I kind of do want to see now actually how the Sarah version of this team compares. Is it actually better to have more sub DPS with Beidou or more buffs with Sarah? Let's find out. Okay, we're at around 60k. Sarah also doesn't have her burst back. I'm so used to Sarah easily getting her burst every rotation, so I never thought that she didn't have enough energy recharge, but that's because I always use her with Raiden. But now that Raiden is not in the team, my Sarah actually doesn't have enough energy recharge, it turns out. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Okay, we actually reached higher DPS with this team than with the Beidou team. Interesting. So maybe it is actually better to get some more buffs from C6 Sarah, even if they don't last for the full duration of Varka's skill. And Sarah herself is not doing much damage here actually, it's still Fischl and Varka of course mainly. Varka doing even more here, 78% is I think the highest percentage we've seen so far. So yeah, thanks to Sarah's buffs, he does even more damage now. So yeah, despite Beidou being a really good character, sometimes it's better to buff your main DPS some more instead of adding another sub DPS. It seems. But in the end, both teams performed about the same. 55k to 59k, that's not that much of a difference. So yeah, just use whoever you have. The more important thing is to have another Hexarai character and another Anemo character in the team. Now, there's one last thing I wanna try. And that is, how well does the Binefa wheelchair actually work with him? Is that gonna outdamage the Mona Furina team? That is the question here. And of course we want one more Hexarai character, Sucrose. Now we are not fulfilling all the conditions here because it's Electro and Hydro instead of 2 Electro or 2 Hydro. So we're not gonna get the full effect of that one passive that buffs his normal attacks. But we're still gonna get the half effect of that passive, where you just need either 2 of the same swirlable element or 2 Anemo characters. And we do have the 2 Anemo characters here. So Varka should still do a good amount of damage. But is Colombina gonna outdamage him? Is the main question here. There is a very strong possibility that she will. Especially since my Colombina is C2R1. Here we go. Set up Colombina Burst. Nefer stuff for Lunar Charge. Then we swirl. And Unleash Varka. I mean, yeah, he's still doing pretty decent damage. We're already at over 100. Oh my god, 116 there. 115 now. It's already so much better than the previous teams. Oh my god, Colombina and the Nefer are just so incredible. They never cease to amaze me. Yeah, this is gonna be easily over 100k. 112k. Just like that. And now the moment of truth. Who did the most damage here? Was it Colombina or was it Varka? It was actually Colombina, and it's not even close. Nefer also damaged him. Oh my god, why are Nefer and Colombina so incredible? Why are they so damn good together? I mean, I love it. I love both of these characters, and I love that they can just carry any team. But yeah, Varka is not the main DPS here. Though, you know, 1.5 million damage, 24%, that's still respectable. That's still not bad. And again, keep in mind that my Colombina is C2, so it would probably look a bit different with a C0 Colombina. Then Varka will probably have a higher percentage of the damage, and maybe even outdamage Colombina. But yeah, okay, now we've seen that. I just wanted to try that just for fun at the end. Anyway, Varka is great. You know, not the greatest DPS ever, of course, but he does his job. He does enough damage to clear endgame for sure. I mean, 80k damage that we got there with the Mona team is really nothing to scoff at. And even some of the other teams still reached over 60k, which yes, only just a bit over half of what the Never Colombina Wheelchair team here was doing. But that doesn't mean it's bad, you know? I, for my part, am having a lot of fun with Varka already. I just love characters that use the normal attacks. You know, Yoimi is one of my favorite characters, for example, and Varka's normal attacks are some of the coolest in the game, like dual-wielding claymores. I'm still not over how cool that actually is. I was not expecting him to do that. And his skill just jumping around with that is also so fun. Gonna use that a lot doing exploration in the next few weeks. But yeah, overall, Varka made a very good impression here. I'm happy with him. And I hope that you also enjoyed this showcase. If you did, then please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more Genshin Impact and other gacha content. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.